Hey amazing hackers, I'm TORHAT from HM Cyber Academy. Today we'll be doing day 18 of TryHackMe's Advent of Cyber 2024. So this is all about prompt injection. So this lab is pretty much beginner version of prompt injection. This is deliberately made, but if you want much more realistic version, you can go to YouTube or even go to our channel and you can search for "You Can Hack AI" video and also WebLLM attacks. Okay, so those are really good ones, much more realistic than this one. So let's get back to the storyline. Hyped with their latest release, a health checker service that tracks the health and uptime of the wearable systems. So the wearable system developers envisage the day in which the inhabitants of Wearable have one-stop shop for seeking answers for life's mysteries and aiding them in their day-to-day jobs. As an initial stage, the Wearable developers create an alpha version of Wearwise, Wearable's intelligent assistant. Aware of the potential dangers of intelligent AI being interacted with, the developers decided to slowly roll out the chatbot and its features. Okay, that's a good thing. The IT department is the first to get hands-on with Wearwise. For the IT department, the Wearwise has been integrated with the health checker service, making it much easier for IT department to query the status of their servers and workstations. So the learning objectives are: in today's task, you will gain a fundamental understanding of how AI chatbots work, learn some vulnerabilities faced with AI chatbots, practice prompt injection attacks on Wearwise, Wearable's AI-powered assistant. So let's see how this actually works. So I'm just giving some basics of chat-based AIs. So it basically have three components, which is like input and system prompt that prompts to the AI, and finally the output. Based on this, it can either have something to protect the input that we are giving, and the system prompt which directly gives the prompt to the AI in a language that it understands, and finally the output as well. So you can have protections for these three things, something like input guard and then system prompt guard, you can say, and output guard as well. So if you just do some small permutations of how many ways it can go wrong, how many ways it can be secure, so it can be something like input guard might exist or might not exist. Okay, so this is vulnerable, this is not vulnerable. Okay, similarly this is vulnerable, this is not vulnerable, and this can be vulnerable, this cannot be vulnerable. Okay, so if you take some permutations, it will not be like 2 plus 2 plus 2, it will be like 2 into 2 into 2. Okay, so total 8 permutations, in which one of them will be like completely no security. Eventually it will have complete security. If you see this, it will be like 8 different combinations and 7 of them can go wrong. We should assume that our Wearwell's AI assistant will be under one of these things. So let's check the AI right now. Start the machine. So once you start the machine, you have to wait at least 7 minutes. Okay, so once it is done, you can just directly go to this website just like this. Okay, so it is not running because I'm not using an attack box. So I have to use VPN or attack box. So I'm not using attack box, I'll be using a VPN. Okay, so first of all, I download the VPN from the access page in TryHackMe. Once I do that, I open a terminal in the same directory and I say sudo openvpn and the file name and give the password, and it will say initialization sequence completed, which means I have connected to their virtual private network. So now I can access this URL. Okay, so I'll just drag and drop this to a new tab and this should work. Okay, so this is our Wearable's AI assistant. So if I say hello, it should respond with something. So this is good. So what I'll do is, the real world AI assistants or the AI bots that you see in real world websites that will be on the right bottom corner. So those are like real world chatbots. So this is not a chatbot. So I'll just prove it to you right now. What I'll do is I'll open Burp Suite and I'll click on open browser and I'll paste the same URL and hit enter. And I'll also be monitoring all the proxy history that I can see here. These are some basic things, so I can just ignore them. So clear everything. And now I'm here, right? So I'll just zoom in and say hello. So if it is a real world AI assistant, so it will not be running under HTTP history. Okay, so it will have some WebSocket history, okay, which will use some WebSockets to maintain the connection between the client and the server. So this is not using anything like that. So all it is using is some post request. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. I hope it is visible right now. So all it is trying to do is send some post request and do the processing inside that AI and finally gives us the output. So as you can see, it is just running some Python server. We send hello, it replies with this. It's a basic application. So now what we'll try to do is we have some options here. So quick actions here, right? So I can click any one of them and it should generate a prompt automatically, right? So I can send this and get something back. So it's probably the status of this AI. So health service is running and status running, uptime 760 seconds. So if I click on system info, it does the same thing. And I can also check for system health. So now it's responding as we expected. So can we change this query or we should only use this query? So let's see. I'm just going to keep only this part. I'm going to say query and hit enter. Okay, this is also working. Interesting, right? From this, what I can imagine is this is like a post request which is taken by this message. And if I scroll down, it's looking at this. And whenever it sees something like a query, it's going to take the next part of it and it's going to give its respective output. It's kind of like it's running a command, right? Like if I'm using something like date or something, it just gives this output based on this current time, right? So if I do it again, it gives a slightly different output, right? So similarly, if I change this to something else, it gives a different output. So what I can do is I can give the same thing and I can also say, who am I, right? So this command ends right here with the semicolon, and it can also have the second command, something like this. So the second command also ran. In its prompt, it can have something like, so I'll just use the same query that we have right here. So I can say this query and it will take only the health part. So it will be something like this. So the main command, this is the parameter of this command. And if I end this with a semicolon and if I type who am I, so this command might end with some other text or some other options or something like this. Let's say something like we, or we don't know. But if we keep just this part at the end of the query, something like, there might be something on the right side as well. Let me do this and see what happens. Okay, it failed to respond. So let's do that again. Okay, so it works, right? So as long as this query is health or something else, we get some response back. But this command has been ignored, right? So let's do that again and let's keep semicolon. And to comment out the rest of these things, what do we do in terminal or bash script? We just have to comment it out, right? This thing will be ignored. So I'll also end this command with this. So I don't need to do this, but it just divides this thing from this command. Okay, so nothing else. So let's try this. So let's hit enter. Okay, it's failed to respond. Let's try it again. So sometimes this output might come. So let's try with the query. So error while parsing the same thing. So let's try that again. So we see this, and as you can see, it is trying to eliminate this part, right? So semicolon has been eliminated. So we can ignore that part because it's coming in the output. And let's try to run some commands, you can use something like TCP dump or you can use Wireshark. It doesn't matter, but you have to run this using sudo. So, and you can use some interface, and here the interface is ton0. So I'm using ton0 interface because if I type ifconfig, so this is the VPN tunnel. So you have to use the same interface. Okay, so I'll just close this. So I'm using the same interface. So let's run this. And if anything goes through this, it will detect and it will capture this. Okay, so if I type something like ping -c4, so which means we want to send 4 packets of ping, and I'm giving the IP address of my own. So I want this server, whichever that server is, to ping me using this ton0 interface. As you can see, nothing happened till now, right? So if I just hit enter, you can see that there are so many ping requests that are coming back to us, right? So this ping command is working. So let's see what other commands can we use. So let's copy the same command, but instead of ping, let's use netcat. Okay, so netcat, and let's give the same IP address because this is my own IP address, right? So paste this netcat NLVP 1234. Okay, so I want to use this port 1234. So let's go back and give the same port here. Give 1234. So what I'm trying to do is netcat. Let's use the same command netcat. You can either use ncat or nc. Both are same. Both are using netcat. It's trying to connect to this IP address, which is my own IP address, to this port. So let's send it and let's go back. Okay, I haven't run this. So I have to rerun this command again. Control C, Control V, send it. Go back. Okay, I'm not getting any connection. Let's try that again. So as you can see, I was able to connect. So once I connect, what should I do? So I cannot just type some random characters and expect it to give something like this. So I have to run a shell, right? So I'll close this connection and reopen this connection again. So this time, along with this command, I will also keep after you connect execute /bin/bash. Okay, sometimes nc will work or sometimes ncat will work. So we'll just see which one actually works. Okay, so let's send this request and go back, and we didn't get any connection. So let's try that again. Okay, still nothing. So let's see if we can keep ncat. Okay, so this is also netcat. It does the same thing. Okay, so let's hit enter, go back, and here as you can see it connected and it just blinking right here. So we should probably get the shell. So to test that, I'm gonna type some Linux commands. Who am I? Root. So which means I got directly root access. Let's type some more commands. Like I got the root access directly, which is amazing. I got the root access. Let's go back to TryHackMe and let's answer some questions. So we've done this, we got the reverse shell and everything. So yeah, what is the technical term for a set of rules and instructions given to a chatbot? So it's basically what do we do when we are giving something to a chatbot? So we are giving some instructions, right? So it is basically called system prompt. Okay, we are giving a system prompt to the chatbot and it's executing with the help of AI, right? So what query should we use if we wanted to get the status of the health service from the in-house API? So the in-house API is this one, right? Quick actions in-house API. So we want the status of it, right? So let's click on this and we get this query automatically, right? So you can use the same query, and here just a note, here you can see a space between semicolon and the next word, right? So if you just paste this, it automatically has that space. So here it does not have the space. So make sure you have the space when you're typing it. So let's hit submit. Okay, done. Perform a prompt injection attack that leads to a reverse shell to the target machine. So we've already got a reverse shell. Okay. So after achieving a reverse shell, look around to find flag.txt. So they have already given the name of the file. So this makes it so much easier to find the file. So I can use something like locate this thing. So sometimes this work if they have already given this command called update db. Okay, if they gave this command would actually work and find that flag.txt. Looks like they haven't given this command, so we can use some comprehensive find command. So we want to find from the root directory. Root directory is the topmost directory from which we get all the files. So this is the root directory in Linux. From here we want to find the name of the file as flag.txt, right? So this is the name of the file. And what is the type of the file? It is just a file. So we have to give this thing, or you can ignore this actually. But anyway, I'm just giving it. So let's try without giving next time. So I'm using this to greater than. So this will actually redirect all the errors to some file that I'm going to mention, something like /dev/null. Okay, so this is the special file. So it is like a black hole. So you're throwing all the errors which you'll get from this command to null. Okay, so let's hit enter anytime now. Let's see if this is still running. Okay, it's still running, or probably crashed. Not sure which one that is, but anyway, so let's control C to that. Let's run that again. Let's run this again as well. Okay, we got a reverse connection now. Let's run this command again. Control C, Control V, enter. Okay, so as you can see, we got this file right here. Let's type one more command. This thing is actually back. Okay, it's back again. So let me try. So 2 greater than /dev/null. So let's see. Okay, it still works. That's great. So what you can do is you can just copy this, and since this is just a text file, okay, ASCII text file, I can just cat this file right here. So where was breached? Now copy this, go back to TryHack Me, scroll down and paste the flag, and you're good to go. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.